So today's the last day of E3. We're here to talk about all the conferences, my opinions, and rank them and see which ones are great, what games were announced, and what you guys have to look forward to. Let's get into it.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a recce is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so we're here to talk about E3, the conferences that happened, some of the news that we got, and me ranking what I thought, the order of the conferences and how I ranked them and how good they were and all that stuff. So, we're going to get right into it. I have some notes on all the conferences, obviously, so I remember everything I want to talk about. We're going to start off with EA, since they're the first ones that actually kicked off E3 this year. They actually had their conference on Saturday. Now, we're going to say this off the bat. Something you guys will probably see roaming around is EA probably had, I'm not going to say standings or anything yet, but EA's conference wasn't very good. The reason being is not because of the games that were shown, but it was kind of how they were shown. Because a lot of the EA games, I don't really hate on EA like other people do. They're like, oh, I don't buy EA games, blah, blah, blah. They have microtransactions in their games, yada, yada. Listen, I buy the games if I like them, and if they make sense for what I like, then I play them, and that's basically how it goes. I'm not going to boycott a whole entire company just because, they make one game that everyone's talking nonsense about. If they make another game that I like that has nothing wrong with it, I'll buy that game, and I won't buy the game that everyone's talking crap about, because if I agree with them, then I won't buy that game either until that issue is fixed. That sends more of a message to me than anything else does out there. So, being able to actually support the games that aren't doing it wrong, and then not supporting the games that are doing it wrong, that makes a lot more sense to me. So that's how I do it. So anyway, EA's conference felt, when I was watching it, that I was watching a press briefing that EA was basically talking to a bunch of investors and stuff, not a group of E3 people that are really hyped for games and all that stuff. That's how the vibe of the conference went. It seemed like they were just apologizing all the time, and we'll get into some of the things that they apologized about and stuff. And I don't know, it just felt like more of a press briefing for investors that were there watching EA, not gamers that were there. But let's go through some of the games that they actually did show and talk about them. So some of the good things that they showed here, one of the things that they showed is Unravel 2. Unravel 2, if you guys have played the first one, was actually a pretty decent game, and from what I'm hearing about this game, I haven't played it yet, it's actually, a pretty good game. From what I hear, there's already a couple of reviews out there for people who already played the whole game. And what was cool is that, which I hope more companies do this, and a lot of companies did this this year, what I really like, is that they literally just dropped the game today. They talked about the game, they showed the game, and then they're like, hey, by the way, it's available today. That was awesome. Gives people, something to get excited about and play that game. So that was a good thing. That was, an EA original. That was a nice thing there. The second EA original thing that was really there, that doesn't come out that day, it's coming out later this year, is Sea of Solitude. Now, this game looks really interesting. They had a girl up on stage that, told her story on how her story is being told through the game. It's all about loneliness and, how you deal with loneliness and stuff. It sounds like a really intriguing premise for a game, and it's based on her story of her life and stuff like that. So, the moment on stage with her, you could tell she was really nervous and stuff and, really passionate about the project. So, sometimes it went a little bit weird, but I think she did pretty well overall. And you could tell it was really heartfelt, and the game looks really interesting. The style and graphics of the game look like something really interesting out there, and something I haven't seen in other games, so I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that one. One of the other things that was there, they came out, on stage, and they talked about Battlefront, and they obviously came out there and apologized and all that stuff for how bad the game started off and how they had to fix things, and that's why they had to put things on hold for as far as DLC goes and blah, blah, blah. So that was a good thing to have them apologize. I thought that was a good way to, acknowledge the fact that you did something wrong as opposed to try and hide it. And then they, of course, announced what everyone's been waiting for, which is the Clone Wars. General Grievous is coming. Anakin is coming and stuff like that. 4 new characters announced and a few maps and stuff like that later this year for the new Clone Wars era. So that's good. Everyone's been clamoring for that, so it's a good thing that they addressed that and put that up on the stage. That was good. The Respawn game. They had this is a little bit weird. So they had, I don't know, this is one of the, another moment that I'm like, I don't know why you do it this way. But they had the Respawn guy there sitting in the audience watching the conference, and they pulled up next to him and were like, hey, I heard you guys are working on a Star Wars game. What could it be? And they announced the name of the game. It's going to be Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And they asked him some questions like, hey, I'm assuming you're going to be playing a Jedi in this game. And he's like, yeah, you could tell by the title, blah, blah, blah. And, it was just really weird because I feel like that would have hit home a lot better if they would have just put a trailer with the announcement of the title of the game up on the stage for everyone to watch, as opposed to interviewing this guy, which definitely seemed like he was a little bit uncomfortable, and he was like, yeah, I can't really talk about the game much, but here we are. I think a trailer would have done the job much better, but they tried with that. I just think it would have succeeded better the other way around. But either way, everyone's excited about that Star Wars game, hopefully, because it's, story-oriented and stuff like that. It's a full-fledged game, so we'll see how that goes. So, everyone assumes that that's coming out in 2019. The next thing that they announced over there is a pretty big deal for sports fans. I'm a big sports fan. I play all of them. I play FIFA, NHL, Madden, and all that stuff. I'm a bigger fan of NHL, where I play that majority of the time. And FIFA's right underneath that, and then Madden's underneath that. But a big deal that they announced there is that Madden's coming to the PC for the first time in over 10 years, so all PC gamers rejoice. We're finally getting another sports game on that console, or on that system, because it used to just be FIFA that we get. Now we have Madden. Maybe one time we'll finally get NHL to cross over, because that's been over 10 years as well. I think the last one was like 97, so if we can hop on that, EA, please make NHL for the PC. That'd be great. The next thing that they announced here also is, of course, they had Battlefield there, and their big announcement. They didn't show much gameplay or anything, which was a little bit disappointing as far as like multiplayer action. I thought they were going to get on stage and like actually have a multiplayer session like they've done for other games in the past, but they didn't. But their big announcement, they did talk a while on the stage, was that we're going to get a battle royale game for Battlefield, and there's no surprise there that we're getting a battle royale game for Battlefield. So we'll see how that goes and how that's going to be. They said that there was going to be more talked about later in the future, so we'll see. The next thing that they announced there, of course, is also Anthem, which was their big game. They actually did get into a feature length when the conference was over. They actually had the host of the show get up on stage and talk to the developers for a little while, ask them some questions and stuff, and then rolled into the gameplay. The gameplay was a pretty good chunk of gameplay, and it looks really, really good. Anthem is a game that I've been keeping an eye on, and I'm really interested in playing. It has a February 22nd release date, basically like every other game in America right now, which is coming on that date. So February 22nd, 2019 is the release date for that. And it looks really good. If you guys haven't seen the gameplay, definitely check that one out. It looks good. And then they rolled into something that I find interesting. Maybe other people don't, but like Origin Premiere was the next thing that they showed up on stage. And this was when the CEO, Andrew Wilson, came up there and he started talking about, how they're sorry and, that they're trying to strive to be better with microtransactions and all that stuff. So that's when another apology came out for the CEO himself, that they're striving to be better and stuff like that. We'll see if they do try to be better, if they try to do something like they did to Battlefront 2 again. Hopefully they don't. But then they got into Origin Premiere. Origin Premiere is basically Origin Access that already exists in the Xbox and PC, where you get a catalog of games that are in their subscription service, and you pay them like $5 or $6 a month, and you get to get access to those games. Usually the games come like 9 months to even longer sometimes into that catalog, and then they get added and you get to play them unlimitedly. Origin Premiere takes that a step further and basically just makes it so you can just play the new releases that they come out with, like Battlefield and stuff like that, that is going to be coming out. It will be day and date on the service. So Battlefield will come out and it will be right on Origin Premiere for you to play it day and date. You don't have to buy it. You're just paying a subscription. I believe the announcement after the conference was over, people started saying that it was $120 a year. So it's the price of 2 EA games. So if you want Anthem and you want Battlefield, that's already worth the cost to you. As a sports person, for me, getting FIFA, NHL, and Madden, and getting Anthem, and getting Battlefield, and all those, it's an easy deal for me that I'll be doing for sure. It's only available on PC for the time being. They didn't announce any details of it over also having, going on Xbox as well that I saw. So, and that was basically the extent of their whole entire conference. I might have missed a few things, but those are the things that stuck out to me when I watched. It wasn't that the games that were there weren't games that I'm going to play, but it was just a bad conference. And I'm going to get into what was the worst part of the conference, is that they come out, and like I said, they haven't done a really big feature on any of their games, including their Battlefield and like Anthem they did at the end. So Battlefield is their big game coming out too, which is actually this year. Anthem is next year. And they didn't do any sit down of a multiplayer session for 15 minutes or anything like that. And here comes out this mobile game. I don't even remember the name of. Oh, I do remember the name of it right now. I almost forgot. Here comes this game, and they haven't announced the title of the game, and they're sitting there demoing it. This is an E3 crowd. I understand why you're making a mobile game. It sells like crazy. Everybody knows that. I just don't think taking up 20 minutes of everyone's time in an E3 press conference, where everyone there is hardcore gamers and stuff like that, and everyone watching are gamers, is something that you need to do. that game is going to go on there, and it's going to show, and it's going to sell like crazy with microtransactions and stuff, because there's a giant mobile market. There's no reason why they shouldn't do it. But you do it there, and you're throwing it to everyone's face that people who are watching this conference and are at that show, a lot of the people have been waiting for a Command and Conquer game for forever now, and they come out with a mobile game called Command and Conquer Rivals that they announced at the end. And I'm not going to lie, I'm going to try the game because I play mobile games sometimes because, like, I love my consoles. I play consoles, PC. I play every type of game out there, as you guys might have seen on this channel, including retro games. And, like, if I'm not home and I got my phone and that's the only thing I got, I'll try some mobile games out there. I don't have anything against them. But I just think it was crazy to show this on stage for that long and actually have a full multiplayer session on there. It was just ridiculous. But there's nothing else to be said about that. EA's conference wasn't that good. That was the biggest reason and the biggest letdown, is that concentrating on that game for so long was crazy. Especially after people have been waiting for a sequel to that game for so long, and making that on the stage was just crazy. So that was EA's in a nutshell. Moving on to Xbox. Xbox's conference now was actually really, really well done this year. And I'm going to go through some of the highlights here real quick with you guys. They announced 50 games at this conference, ranging from some premieres for the first time, where there was trailers for the first time that you've ever seen the game, to exclusive premieres or exclusive, deals with games that are only going to be on the Xbox for a little while and then get over to other consoles. So they opened up the show with Halo. It's called Halo Infinite. That was a good opening for the show. They had Master Chief there at the end with this helmet showing. That game's obviously still a ways off. So they opened up with that. It looks like it's going to be a brand new engine, and I'm really looking forward to that, much like everyone else is who has an Xbox console. Then they announced Crackdown 3, and of course Crackdown has been delayed now to 2019, also February 22nd. And, they came out and they showed a trailer. It looks a lot better than last year's trailer for sure. It's just disappointing that this game's been delayed and delayed and delayed. I think we've been waiting now for 4+ years for this game as one of their big-time exclusives, and we're still waiting, but hopefully the delay means that it's going to be even better, so you can't really complain. I'd rather have them delay it than have this come out and be a disappointment that everyone's been waiting 4+ years for. So, Forza Horizon 4, that's my series. I'm not really a big Forza Motorsport guy. I'm much more into the arcade side of things. And Forza Horizon looks really, really good. It's going to be in the setting of Great Britain, and I'm really excited for this game. They announced that everyone's going to be, actually a real person in the game. What I read after the conference is over, it's going to be 72 players online. Good thing is that they're not going to be able to crash into you or anything, so there's not going to be any crazy griefing or anything like that. But you can talk to them, you'll be chatting with them, you'll be going up to them and doing drifts with them, hanging out with them in the big open world, all that kind of stuff. They're going to have in-game world events where an event will pop up in the middle of the game and, have like a main event happening that all the people, like 12 people in that room, can take part in and do that event, whatever that may be, like a drifting challenge or a race challenge, whatever it may be, and earn unique rewards for doing it. So it's looking amazing. The graphics look outstanding as usual, and I'm really excited for the next Forza Horizon. I love Forza Horizon 3. The next a game that they announced was actually Session. It's actually a skateboarding game. There wasn't much given but a small trailer, so there's not much to be said about that game, but it had a skate vibe to it, so we know we've been waiting for EA to come back with Skate 4. That's never happened, so we'll see. Big surprise of the show that was at their conference as well was Devil May Cry. Obviously, this isn't a console exclusive. It's going to be on every console, but it was really good, and it looks really stylish. It's a very different style of game compared to their previous games, and I'm looking forward to that one. Dying Light 2 was also shown there. I haven't played too much of Dying Light 1, so I don't know exactly how the vibe works, but I know that the introductions what they showed for this game looks really interesting. So that's another one to look forward to. Then, of course, they had Gears. And Gears was really funny because they basically trolled everyone because they announced the first game, and that was a pop game that's coming to mobile. And everyone was like, "Are you serious? You're really announcing a pop game when we're all waiting for the next Gears?" And then after that, they announced Gears Tactics, which is a PC game for the time being only. And people were like, "All right, that looks really good, but it's still not the Gears we wanted." And then they finally gave us what we wanted and gave us Gears 5. A really lengthy trailer. It looks really, really good. Graphics are always as good. I'm already intrigued in the story with how they did that trailer. It looks like a pretty big, difference to what the other games were like. So I'm really excited for Gears 5. I don't think there's ever been a conference before in Xbox's history where they had Halo and Gears on the same stage. I don't think that I can remember. The next thing they have is Metro Exodus, and that's looking outstanding. The Metro series is really, really good for first-person shooters, and I'm excited for that as well. Then they had one of the other things that they did, which is a really big deal, is everyone's been clamoring to Microsoft to actually, get more exclusives because all I have is Halo, Gears, and Forza, and they rotate between those. So they answered the call this year. This was really awesome, and what really made this conference stand out, they announced 5 new studios. One of them is a brand new studio that they actually hired developers and stuff like that, and is being led by, I forget the guy's name that everyone's excited about, and that's going to be a brand new Microsoft studio that's being built in-house. And they're obviously working on some sort of project that we obviously have no clue about for obvious reasons because the studio just got made less than a year ago or a year ago. And then they announced, they bought 4 more new studios. They bought the Forza Horizon studio. They bought Ninja Studios, which is a really big deal. And no one expected that to happen. And that was crazy. And then they bought the studio who made just State of Decay. They bought that studio. So they have 5 new studios. 4 acquisitions of other studios. And 1 that's completely brand new and making their own games now. So they have 10 partners that they're working with and studios that they have now, which is really awesome. And they definitely answered the call with that. And they didn't say that they were officially done. That this isn't like E3 is like their max cap now. He's been on interviews saying that they're not done. They're always open to acquiring more. But they're at 10. But that really shows that they're really into the brand and that there's nothing to be worried about and all that stuff. The next thing that they had was Ori and the Blind Forest. They showed another trailer for that. That game continues to look amazing. Then they had a Sea of Thieves trailer for the new DLC. I hope this game can turn it around. I really like the game, and the DLC looks really promising. The Hungering Deep that they just announced was really cool, some of the things that they added. And these 2 expansions are supposed to be the bigger expansions. The Hungering Deep was just one of the smaller ones. So I'm looking forward to those 2 expansions, and the trailer that they announced look really interesting. We Happy Few, which was one of the companies that they bought, or one of the studios that they bought, is coming to Xbox. And that looks, I don't really know what to make of that, because I'm not sure exactly what the gameplay is like. I'm still a little bit confused, but I'm still looking forward to seeing what that's like. They announced some Cuphead DLC that's going to be coming in early 2019. That's going to be an expansion to the first game, not a new sequel or anything like that. And then they had a cool game from the makers of Life is Strange, Adventures of Captain Spirit, which is like a teenage, he's like a kid in his room, and he's like, it has a really like 80s, 90s vibe to the story, and it's supposed to be like a prequel to Life, or not a prequel, but a continuation in the world of Life is Strange. So, and the free episode is going to come out, I believe, the 29th of this month, if I remember correctly. So that's going to be free for everyone to download and try out. So I'm definitely excited to try that one out. Can't wait to get into that. I really like the premise and how the trailer looks for that. And I don't think I'm missing anything. I mean, I'm sure, obviously I'm missing other things. There were 50 games announced, so I'm just highlighting the bigger ones. The last thing that they left us off with was Cyberpunk 2077, and that game continues to amaze me. Definitely the game I'm probably looking forward to the most out of E3, especially from the makers of Witcher 3, with the pedigree that they have, and the cyberpunk world that's going to be set in, and the massive world that they keep talking about. Definitely can't wait to get into it. I'm reading comments today of people talking about it for people who are actually at E3 and seeing the behind closed doors demo of 50 minutes of how amazing it looked and how amazing it continues to look and how it's going to win Game of the Show and stuff. Just makes me even more hyped for that game. And that trailer at the end of the Microsoft conference looked amazing. I can't wait. So that was basically Xbox's conference in a nutshell. Like I said, they obviously had more games. Those were just my highlights that I saw in that conference. The next one that we'll get into is, let's get into Bethesda's conference. Bethesda's conference also had a lot of good things in that show. They actually touched on every single one of their games. Every single franchise that they have running right now, that they touched in some way, shape, or form. Whether it be new DLC that's coming, like for Prey, that new DLC is coming, and 2 VR pieces for Prey that's coming. That's really interesting. It's just crazy some of the stuff that they actually announced, that they actually touched every single game. And they announced Doom External, which is a sequel to Doom. It's an actual proper sequel, they said. So Doom External is coming. Not this year, obviously, but it is coming. Wolfenstein Youngblood is coming. It's one of the smaller expansions. It's not like a full-blown sequel from what I've been hearing. It's more of like into the reign of like one of their smaller ones that they've done in the past. Then they announced a really funny video that they had there. Was they opened up with Todd there at the end, and he was announcing all his games that his team is working on. And they opened up with a really funny video saying, hey, where are we going to get Skyrim on next? And they had it going on Alexa. And I thought it was a joke because they had Alexa running and it seemed like a joke and they were laughing about it. And then they had it on the refrigerator for Samsung and they were just making jokes. So I always thought that it was like a joke. And then after the conference was over, I found that like, no, that Alexa Skyrim application is actually real. Like, they actually have an application for it. And you can actually download it now and play Skyrim on there, which is hilarious. Some of the things that they announced after that, they announced Elder Scrolls Blades, which is going to be coming to consoles and mobile phones. It's like Skyrim basically for your mobile phones, and you can play it anywhere. And it's going to have a VR component, so you can actually do some like fighting and stuff like that in the arena on stuff like that. So we haven't seen a lot about how the VR component's going to work like. But the mobile component looks interesting, and it's going to be coming to consoles too, and being able to play that anywhere on the go is obviously what the goal is, no matter what system you're on. So that looks interesting. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, they also had Rage 2, which is their big game that is coming next year. Not their big game this year, but their big game for next year. Rage 2, and that looks really promising based on the trailer. It looks like there's a lot of enhancement that were made into that game, hearing about the rumblings from people at E3 on how much better it's looking and how fluid the game is working and the controls are, and the action is just crazy or more over the top than the last one. And I like the first one, so I'm excited for that one as well. The next thing that they announced there is, obviously, they talked extensively about Fallout 76, and the big news is that it's an online survival game, and everyone in the world is going to be real people. He said dozens, not thousands, because it's an apocalypse, so he just said dozens. He didn't say exactly how many people were going to be in a server. But it sounds interesting. You can go in there with co-op with friends, build houses and stuff like that, take out other people's houses. There's a lot of stuff in Fallout that's going to be happening. I'm excited to get more information and check that one out. I'm intrigued because I'm one of the people who actually like online games. So the fact that this is online and you can play with a bunch of people and everyone's going to be real in the world and stuff like that, they can do a lot with that, and I'm excited to see how that goes. They announced a collector's edition for that game with the actual headmask that people have apparently been clamoring for. And did we miss anything else? Of course, then they ended the conference with 2 announcements of games that are really far in the future that aren't going to be coming out anytime soon. Starfield, which has been rumored for a while, space kind of game, and then they announced that they're working on the Elder Scrolls 6, and that one's even more further in the future because that's coming after Starfield, so I wouldn't expect Skyrim until at least 2020, probably 2021 at the very, somewhere around that time frame, because they just started working on it, literally like they're in the beginning process of it. So, but overall, I thought Bethesda's conference was pretty decent. They, like I said, they touched on all their games. The only reason it's not higher in my own head is because I've never really been the hugest Fallout fan, even though I am intrigued with this one because of the online side of it. So I may actually like this one for the first time more than all the other ones. I've just never been the huge fan of that game. But I'm definitely really excited for Doom. The Doom from last 2 years ago was amazing. Wolfenstein is really good, so they have some good stuff coming. And Rage 2, in the future for next year in the spring is going to be really interesting as well. The next conference we had was Square's conference. I was a little bit disappointed in Square's conference because I thought when the conference got good at the end, the conference was over. I think the conference was like 30 minutes. I didn't expect it to be that short. They did announce some good stuff. I just thought it was really short. I wanted some other game that we didn't know about to get announced, and that didn't happen. They had Kingdom Hearts there. They showed another trailer there that was slightly different than what they just showed at the Xbox conference. So that was kind of a waste of time. I mean, it did have, or was Square the one that they actually had a different trailer? I actually can't remember. Basically, Kingdom Hearts was shown in 3 different conferences. And no, I think the Sony conference was when they actually showed the new one. So I think the Square one was just the one that was slightly altered from Xbox's conference. So they had this here. Obviously, I'm excited for Kingdom Hearts because I'm a big Disney fan and stuff like that. There's no doubt I'm going to be playing that game, and I've been waiting for it for forever. But it was almost the same trailer as what we saw in the Xbox conference, so there was nothing really there. They did have some Shadow of the Tomb Raider gameplay, so that was good. I'm obviously excited for more Tomb Raider. They had this new game called Babylon Fall, and that's exciting because it's coming from Platinum Games, and we all know they usually do good work, so I'm excited for that. And then they had a game called Quiet Man, which was interesting because it seems to be mixing live action with CG, and that's going to be interesting if they actually use live action. We haven't seen live action games in a long, long time. Obviously, there wasn't that much gameplay or anything shown in specifics, but the fact that it had live action and it mixed with CG and stuff and the gameplay, that sounds interesting. So we'll see what that's like. Then they also, of course, had Just Cause 4, which is their release for this year as well. And Just Cause 4, I really like Just Cause 3, and this one keeps taking the mayhem, up a level. So we'll see how that game turns out. If you like just destroying things and stuff like that, obviously that's going to be a great game. And I think that was their main highlights of the game. They had Kingdom Hearts, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Babylon Fall, Quiet Man, Just Cause 4. Like I said, the conference was just really short, and there was nothing. The two games there, no one. At least I didn't. I didn't try to stay away from spoilers. I don't know if those were announced before, but it was a really short conference. I wanted a little bit more from them, but the games that were there, I'm going to be, at least Kingdom Hearts and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I'm definitely going to be playing. I'm excited, and Just Cause 4. So the next conference we're going to get into is Ubisoft, and Ubisoft, in my opinion, even though some people still give them flack, has been killing it in the last couple of years with their games, with the games either being really good or if they come out a little bit not so great, they're updating them all the time, always adding free DLC. They've gotten rid of basically almost all their season passes, and they're just relying on other methods to modernize the game. And they announced the Crew 2. They showed the Crew 2, which I'm really looking forward to because I love Crew 1. And this one looks like it's going to be even better with being able to fight, easily switch between cars, airplanes, and boats. And it actually comes out at the end of this month, so it's not far away. So I'm really looking forward to that. They showed the Division 2. They showed some gameplay of that. Also a game I'm really looking forward to. And, getting back into the Dark Zone. And, it seems like they're taking a lot of feedback from the Division and learning a lot of things about it. Raids are finally in there. Destiny, if everyone obviously knows what Destiny is, raids like that are finally in the Division, which people have been asking for. 8-player raids, so that's what the big announcement was there for the Division. They also had Trials come back on there, like Trials Fusion with the 4 bicycles that you you race each other on the same screen. So that looks really good, and it's coming to the Switch too, so that's good. And something I might like to mention, I'm really happy with the way that Ubisoft and Nintendo get along. They make a lot of good games for them and show a lot of good stuff there. One thing that I'm really excited about that I didn't think I was excited about before this conference, and I did hear about, is Starlink. And their big announcement here is that Star Fox is actually going to be in the game. You're actually going to be able to play the whole entire campaign with him, actually have exclusive missions for the Nintendo Switch for Star Fox. He comes with the little Star Fox figure and his actual pilot ship. So the game's really looking really, really good. If you guys haven't seen the gameplay that Nintendo hosted today on their Treehouse, go check it out because it's 30 minutes of gameplay and it sold me on the game. I wasn't really into it because it's another Toys to Life game, but they announced that you can play the whole entire game. There's no paywalls or anything with just a starter set, so you can literally just play the whole entire game. The weapons and stuff that you get otherwise that you can buy separately for more to add little weapons and wings on the airplanes and stuff like that, or on the ships. You can get just to change your what kind of weapons you're using in the game and stuff like that, but you can beat the whole entire game without it, so that's good. And I'm really looking forward to that. They obviously showed off the Donkey Kong DLC for Mario and Rabbids, so I'm looking forward to that. I like Mario and Rabbids a lot. It's a really good game to play. And they showed the upcoming DLC for that. Comes out either this month or early next month. I can't remember. It might be at the end of this month. And that expansion is really good. Or should be really good, and I'm looking forward to it. From everything that they've shown, they didn't just take the easy way out. They literally did the whole Donkey Kong all out. Then they also showed For Honor. They came out and did some more updates on that game. Like I said, they're always doing updates on Rainbow Six. They came out for that, and then For Honor came out, and their big deal there that a lot of people didn't expect is they're actually having a new faction added to the game, the Samurai Group, and that's really exciting for a lot of people who play that game. I play that game a little bit. I'm not hardcore into it, but it's really exciting that they're supporting the games. And like I said, Ubisoft is just killing it with that stuff. And, of course, their big game that they had there also is Beyond Good and Evil 2. They had another trailer, and that game continues to look amazing. And I can't wait to play Beyond Good and Evil 2, even though it's probably a ways out as well. Probably not until... I don't see it coming out at the end of 2019. It'd be great if it does, but I feel like that's a 2020 game. And that was Ubisoft. Oh, and then Assassin's Creed Odyssey is obviously their big game for this year. The big thing that I'm taking for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which you can play a woman now as your main character, is it seems to be a lot more colorful than Odyssey was. Odyssey was a really good game, the last year's version of Assassin's Creed, but the colors were not bland, but they were kind of the same or whatever. Assassin's Creed Odyssey looks to really add color everywhere. The demo that they were showing, it seems that the colors really pop off the screen. I'm a big fan of color and stuff like that. If you guys see the trailer, you guys will know what I'm talking about. So obviously, it's more of the same of what Assassin's Creed is like. So if you like Assassin's Creed, I'm sure you're already looking forward to it like I am. And that was basically Ubisoft's conference. They also had a Just Dance presentation in the beginning. Ubisoft seems to do really, really, really well with their conferences. I really like their conference. I'm looking forward to basically every single game I just mentioned, and maybe I might have missed a couple, but every game I just mentioned or every expansion I'm either currently playing, currently going to buy, or will be buying in the future. So really good stuff there. Let's move into Sony's conference here. Sony's conference was really strange as well. They decided to, which in theory sounded cool, they were concentrating on only 4 games this year. They said that outright 2 weeks ago, so I wasn't expecting much more than that. That wasn't really what the issue was. The issue was that they started the conference, they were all in like a tent kind of thing, which looked really cool, and then you realize that it was part of The Last of Us Part 2 that was kind of like going with the scenery of what you were seeing on the screen for the game. So I'm sure whoever was there, like, it was cool. But then they went to intermission for 15 minutes. Because those people had to leave that room and go into the actual main room where the other 3 games were going to be shown. And sit in that main theater room and see the other 3 games. And it took like 20 minutes to get everybody over there. Meanwhile, they have like the guys talking on there, announcing, not huge games or anything, but they're announcing some small games and some VR games and stuff like that. And these people are just moving. So the people who are actually at the conference and are trying to cover this press conference to put them up on their website and talk about them and stuff don't even know what's going on because they're walking from one side to the other. So they're probably sitting there texting people who are actually at home watching this thing and actually getting the news while they're sitting there walking around. So that didn't sound like it was great. And then it broke the excitement of Last of Us Part 2 that it ended because it was basically a 15-minute intermission. The announcement weren't out of this world or anything. So that it might have been even longer than 15 minutes. It was at least 15 minutes of a break there. So I just thought the flow of the conference was really weird. I didn't really like it. I like the way that they've done their conferences in the past. I understand trying to concentrate on 4 games, but I don't. E3 for me is like showing a bunch of different games that we either haven't heard of or haven't seen a lot of or things that are coming soon, whether it be trailers or gameplay and stuff. I don't really want to just see 4 games, I guess. They did show more than 4. They had little trailers snuck in between here and there, so that was good. But I'm just saying that, taking 20 minutes on 4 games that you're concentrating on, in my opinion, even if the games are good, I'd rather see 6 minutes of each of those 4 games than, another 45 minutes of, different games that are coming, either later on or trailers for different games, stuff like that. It's just my opinion. But the 4 games that they did show, that they concentrated on, was Last of Us Part 2. Looks absolutely incredible. The movement system and the way that the trailer was shown, it was obviously at least 15 minutes of gameplay or so. Looked absolutely incredible. How fluid all the combat was and stuff like that. It just looks really, really good. Ghost of Tsushima caught me by surprise because I didn't know much about this game because there was no gameplay up until this point. But damn, when that trailer came on, that game looks outstanding. I was completely blown away by the graphics watching this, and I can't wait to play that game. That game looks so good. Looks really interesting. So we'll see how that game turns out, but I'm really excited for that. The next game that they concentrated on was Death Stranding. I continue to be completely confused like everyone else is about this game. I have no idea what the hell this game's about. They literally did a walking simulator of this game for 15 minutes of him carrying a package from here to there. Basically, what that whole demo was like. Obviously there was more to it, but that was basically how everyone's describing it now. So I still don't know anything more about this game now than I did before the conference. So it could be good, it could not be, who knows. Continues to be weird. And then the last game that they ended with, which comes out later this year in September, is Spider-Man. And not only from the demo at E3 that looks absolutely outstanding with the traversity and how that game continues to look, but people at E3 are saying that the movement and swinging around is amazing, and the scale of the city is amazing, so I'm really excited for Spider-Man. It hasn't been a really good Spider-Man game, maybe in a long time, maybe forever, and that's a standout game for me. I can't wait for that. So they also threw in Resident Evil 2 Remake, which I know a lot of people were claiming for, and that looks really good. They obviously did Resident Evil. This one looks like a full-out remake. They literally are redoing everything. The graphics look a lot better than what they did, when that game originally came out on the PlayStation. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't played that game in years, obviously, so that was a really cool announcement. But what I was really excited about that was thrown that I didn't know about was Control from the Remedy. So they're the ones who made Quantum Break. Their new game is Control, and it looks really good. It looks like it's got mixtures of Quantum Break, but obviously doesn't seem like it has anything to do with... Quantum Break had the issue where they were sticking the live TV show into the game, which a lot of people didn't like, so there was hours of TV shows mixed into the game. and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to them getting back into their roots, getting some getting their Max Payne and Alan Wake flow back into this game. I'm really looking forward to it. I like most of their games what Remedy does, so that was a nice surprise for me. I don't know if it was announced before, but I didn't hear about it. So Sony's conference itself was really bad just because of the way that it was formatted and how it was done, and like I said, how I described it before. But I'm looking forward to all their games. That's what the thing. I'm rating these conferences, and I'm going to rank them based on how excited I am for the games and how bad or good the conferences were done. Because a lot of these conferences, even if the conferences are run terribly, I'm still looking forward to a lot of the games that were shown. It's not like I'm not. It's not like someone had a conference where all the games are crap and we're not playing anything from them. And the last one that we have here is obviously Nintendo's conference. Now, Nintendo, after the conference was over, was getting a lot of flack because they didn't announce anything new that we didn't know about, and they spent 25 minutes on Smash Brothers and going through every single detail and stuff like that. But I'm going to give you my thoughts on that in a minute. But basically, they announced Overcooked 2, and that's really good. Overcooked, obviously, a really good game. Overcooked, the original, is a lot of fun. 4-player co-op, that game's insane, and you'll get a lot of fights with your friends over that. So that's one to look forward to. Then they started off, obviously, with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. That game, actually, after watching it, I was really confused about the game when they first talked about it. I didn't really watch any videos and stuff, but they kept saying that, the real game comes out next year, and this is more of a remake of Pokemon Yellow. And that got me a little bit worried. I was like, all right, so what does that mean? Are you just remaking Pokemon Blue and just calling it a day? Or Pokemon Yellow? And then they started saying that, it, goes with Pokemon Go on your phone, so you're not going to really be catching Pokemon like you normally do. And I was like, oh, this sounds like it's just going to be a Pokemon Go thing on your phone, or on the Switch. But after watching the whole entire game and watching a lot of gameplay demos, this has me a lot more interested. Basically, it is a remake of Pokemon Yellow. The graphics look amazing in my point of view. I really like the style of it. But the thing that I didn't know is that, all right, you're not going to get wild battles in this one. So, usually when you walk around the grass and stuff, your Pokemon just pop up and you get random Pokemon. In this one, it's handled differently. Now you don't just actually go up to them and, throw and try to fight them a little bit to get them weaker and then catch them and throw a Pokeball at them. This one has the Pokemon Go mechanic where you're, throwing it in different ways to try and catch them and throwing raspberries at them or berries to, make them easier to catch. And that's the mechanic that they're using. But when you fight other trainers, which is what I wasn't clear on, thank God this is the case, when you fight other trainers and stuff like that, it's the same old, things that the way the Pokemon game has always been like. So they're all going to have stats. They are going to level up. They are going to be able to fight other trainers and stuff like that. It does have online mode where you can trade Pokemon with other people, and you can fight other trainers online and by collecting the Pokemon. And the interaction with the Pokemon Go app, since I played it a lot and still playing it now, is actually kind of interesting to see how that goes. A little Pokeball that you have as an attachment sounds interesting. So I'm much more intrigued about that game now that I know it feels like a more fledged out Pokemon game as opposed to just Pokemon Go on the Switch, which is what I thought it was originally going to be like. So I'm actually looking forward to that game to see what that game is like and play that game. And it's obviously based on the original Pokemon, which is obviously what we all grew up with, so I'm even more excited for that. The next thing that they announced there was another one of those drops that they just said, hey, it's available today, which is awesome, which is Fortnite. That was really cool. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite on the Switch already. It runs pretty well, in my opinion, from everything I've gathered so far. One of the coolest things about this that Nintendo hasn't advertised at all, everyone's been saying that we need to get the Nintendo Switch app that comes out in September to use voice chat. Well, guess what? Fortnite is the first company or game to actually release where they use their own built-in voice chat, and you can just plug in a headphone into the headphone jack or any Bluetooth USB dongle onto the dock and just use those headphones and voice chat. No app needed, right in the game like we all want it to be. And that's really cool that Fortnite's doing that. I wonder if other games are going to start doing that, or if they're this is a deal with Nintendo. I feel like anyone could probably do this if Fortnite is doing it. So I wonder how that's going to play out. But that was really exciting to see, and it runs really well on there too. The next thing that they had on there that was really exciting for me. Let me start off by saying there's a lot of games I want on the Switch. We all want a lot of games on the Switch. I want everything to come on the Switch because I love that system. The portability, the aspect of it, everything. The multiplayer, I'm a big local multiplayer guy, and multiplayer in general. And the games that I really want on there, Animal Crossing, like the rest of you guys that we didn't get. Obviously a new Pokemon, which we're getting this year and next year, is what everyone wants. We already know about Metroid Prime coming and all that stuff. But what we don't know that isn't coming, that hasn't been officially announced, is Animal Crossing that I really want, and Mario Party was high on my list. I'm a big Mario Party fan, even though 10 and 9 were freaking terrible with that stupid car movement thing. They're finally going back to their roots with this one. They officially didn't even call it Mario Party 11 because that's how bad they know that they wanted to start the series off fresh. And they literally said that this is going to bring back the old gameplay, and it looks really interesting. So they're finally bringing back board play, so it's going to be just like the originals. They're adding this new mode that's called, I forget, it's called Toad something, which is really cool, where you can stick 2 switches next to each other, and it lets you play mini games by using both screens. So like if you have a guy on this screen, he'll actually just travel to the other Nintendo Switch screen. They have a bunch of mini games just for that mode, for that. That looks really cool. It was a patent that Nintendo had a while back, so that was interesting to see. They announced a new mode today. Actually, while I'm doing this video on the Treehouse Live, that's really interesting. That's called Mario Marathon. That basically has 5 mini games that you play, and it rotates every. They didn't say when. Let's say it rotates every day or every week or whatever it is, and it's a set of 5. You can play it against your friends or yourself, and it will give you a total score. Against the eye, give you a score, and there's going to be leaderboards for it. You'll actually be able to play those 5 games online for the first time. We actually have a confirmed online mode for the Switch for the very first time in a Mario Party game, so it's going to be 5 mini games. You play those, and they rotate in and out. They didn't say how frequently, but I'm excited that there's finally going to be online in it in some capacity. I like having the idea of having mini games as its own separate mode for online, so if you just want to play mini games, that's a good idea to do it. I hope that they give us the ability to also play board game, the whole entire Mario Party board experience online, even if it's just with friends, because obviously Mario Party takes a long time to play. So if the game's going to take an hour or something, they're probably worried about, hey, people are going to disconnect on you, and like that's going to make the experience terrible because then the game's going to end and blah, blah, blah. And I get that, but at the bare minimum, let us play with friends and let us invite people from our friends list, get 4 players in there, let us voice chat in there, obviously, because if you're not going to do voice chat, don't even bother doing it because that defeats the whole purpose of talking trash in that game. But I think everyone's been wanting that for years now, and I think it's, they could easily give it to us in at least a capacity where we can play with people on our friends list. If they're worried about people disconnecting and matchmaking and stuff like that, let us play with our friends. But I'm excited that there's at least some online component that will at least let me play the game when there's not people here. I'm really looking forward to the fact that it's back to its roots, and they did say multiple times throughout multiple streams that they cannot announce other modes that are in the game, that there is more to the game and there is more modes. So that gives me hope that there may still be more online components to the game, so we'll see. So I'm really looking forward to that coming. And then, of course, their big game that they concentrated on was Super Smash Bros., which I said they talked about for like 20 minutes. The big announcement was every single character is coming back from anytime in all the Mario Party games, all the Super Smash Bros. Games combined, all the characters that have been in all those, like Metal Gear Solid, and all those characters are back in this game, and that's a really big deal. I believe there's 66 characters. They're bringing back a lot of the actual maps. I don't know if it's every single one, but I heard people say that there's like 80 something already or something. I don't know if that's true. I read that on a forum post or something that there's a lot, but there's a lot, and they're coming from all the different genres of all the different games in the past. But every single character's in the game, such a huge big deal. It's not a port. It's the graphics are redone. You can tell the graphics look a lot better. It's using a slightly either a new engine or a slightly or a better engine than what was on there before. Obviously, they're bringing characters from all the games, not just from the Wii U and porting those over, but all the games. They announced a new character called Ridley that's going to be in the game, and Pokemon Trainer is back. There's a lot of stuff. They didn't talk anything else except for the main core mode, so we don't know if there's a story mode or anything like that. But it's I forget how many changes they said. There was thousands of changes that they said they made to all the characters and their moves and all that stuff. So it's definitely a written from the ground up kind of game. Well, maybe it's not from the ground up, but they took assets from the old games and putting them together, but they did a lot of work on it. It's definitely not a port. Like I've seen some people say that's ridiculous, unless if you think Street Fighter 2, 3, 4, 5, and Madden 16, 17, 18, 19, and every single sequel of almost every single game is a port then at that point. Just because they reuse some of the assets from previous games. That's ridiculous to me. And then they announced Killer Queen, which I actually don't... Killer Queen Black, which I actually don't know a lot about, but apparently it's like a really big hit in the arcades, and it's a 8-player multiplayer game that's coming. Apparently it's a really big deal because it's like really highly regarded, and there's apparently lines all the time at the arcades for it. So I'm excited to check that out because I didn't know about this until it came out. So that's coming. And that's basically what their conference was like as far as, what they announced. They also announced on their conference that they dropped finally Hollow Knight is what they finally announced, which was great to finally see because I've been waiting for that for a while because I didn't buy it on all the other systems because I wanted it portable. And that was released again like Fortnite was. Hey, it's available now. So that was really cool that they were able to do that as well. So that was announced. So a lot of people were disappointed because we knew about most of these games already. I didn't know about Mario Party. I don't think anybody else did either. And I'm really excited for that one. I know other people may not be. And everyone's like, oh, well, like this year it doesn't seem like they have a lot of games. And like, I kind of have to disagree with people. Maybe the conference didn't obviously have Metroid like everyone's looking forward to, and Animal Crossing that people really, really want to announce. And trust me, so why I really want Animal Crossing. There's no way that Animal Crossing is not in the works. Like, I can't imagine not being worked on. That'd be ridiculous. Like, they're definitely working on it in some way, shape, or form. And Reggie already came out and said, like, hey, we're going to have more surprises for people in the coming weeks and months ahead. So it's not like this is the last time they're going to have a direct or whatever, like, you know, later this year. This is not going to be the last time we hear from them this year. So I'm definitely looking forward to you know, their games that are coming out. But I kind of have to disagree that there's not a lot of stuff that are coming out. I mean, we got Mario Tennis that I'm really looking forward to here this month. They have Captain Toad coming out. You know, the Mario and Rabbids expansion that's coming out. They have the 3 big hitters that are coming out in this, you know, in the fall season when everyone needs to sell their consoles for the holiday. They have Mario Party. They have Pokemon the game. They have Super Smash Brothers, and those are 3 solid games to have in your holiday months leading up to the holiday. So I'm pretty satisfied with that lineup, and I know there's more games that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head that, you know, they're having, and there's a lot of decent third-party games. Obviously, we're not getting the AAA games that people are looking to get on the Switch yet, but the system's only been out for less than 2 years now, and AAA games take a while to come over. So I'm not surprised that we're not getting these crazy AAA games, but we're still getting some AAA games to come over. Dragon Ball Z got announced, and that's coming over. You know, FIFA 19 is coming. You know, some of the games are making themselves over. But overall, I think Nintendo's conference was good. I wish, just like everyone else, that they announced a surprise that we didn't know about, a big surprise. I know Mario Party was one for me, but maybe a bigger surprise for those people, and Animal Crossing would have been that perfect fit. So that would have been nice. But that's the wrap of all the conferences and the major highlights from all the conferences. In my opinion, this is the way that I rank them for you guys who want to know how I rank these conferences. EA's conference is by far the worst. I already talked extensively why that one was the worst. So that's definitely the worst. Square Enix came right after that. Square Enix's conference was just way too short for my taste. I know that people like things to get them in rapid succession, but I like my conferences to be at least an hour. I like sitting down and watching, grabbing some popcorn, getting ready for E3, and 30 minutes for me, in my opinion, is just way too short. Maybe they just didn't have anything else, but a surprise would have been nice either way. Bethesda's conference is right after that. Bethesda's, not that their conference was bad. I actually thought their conference was pretty good, but out of all the other ones that are above it, I think Bethesda's is just the one that, besides Doom is the one that I'm looking forward to the most. And that's the one game that they have that I really like. I'm not the hugest fan of Fallout, so like, I'm going to try this one because it's online and stuff like that, but I've never been a huge fan of it, so that doesn't make me go crazy like obviously everyone else is looking forward to that game, which is why it's just a little bit down on my list. But it was still a pretty good conference. Just, you know, Bethesda's not like my go-to series for a lot of the games that they show, but either way, I play all their games. I'm just not really crazy about them. The next one above that is Sony. Sony's conference. The only reason it's higher than Bethesda is because all their games that they show I'm actually really looking forward to, even though their conference itself was crap, but the way that it was organized, and I didn't like it at all. So there's no way around that. I don't like the way that it was shown. I don't like how moving people. I didn't like that it was only 4 games with a couple other ones sprinkled in. I like their format of the last year, but that's just me. Ubisoft is above that. I really like I said, what Ubisoft has been doing, and I love all their games that they have. You know, obviously, Crew 2 that's coming out in a couple of weeks here, I'm really looking forward to. Assassin's Creed here later in the year, really looking forward to those. And obviously, the Division 2, February 22nd, surprise. That's also coming out to there. And that Starlink game, I'm really interested. After seeing that gameplay today, that got me so much more excited for that game, and I'm going to be buying it on the Switch just to get the Starlink stuff as long as it runs well. So then above that, we got Nintendo because, like I said, and I'm forgetting some of the things on this list that we just talked about, but they do have a lot of games that I'm looking forward to. You know, between Mario Party that I was looking forward to being announced since last year's E3 that I was hoping that they announced that they didn't. That's a really big game for me. I love the Mario Party series. The fact that it's going back to its roots makes me really excited. Seeing more Pokemon Let's Go made me more excited for that game. I'm a big Super Smash Brothers fan, so I'm excited for that. Overcooked looked really good. Having Fortnite and Hollow Knight on day and date release when the conference was there, I'm getting a lot of mileage out of that. Paladins released on the same day the conference came out, and I don't think it wasn't advertising much in the conference, but that game runs extremely well. And whoever hasn't tried that, it's going to be free to play later. I think it's worth paying for it now, the $30 that they're asking for, because you get all the heroes right up front, all unlocked, and that game just runs super well. It runs at 60 frames a second, and not only does it run at 60 frames a second, but it looks really, really good in my opinion for a Switch game, and it's probably going to be the best shooter we're going to get on the Switch for a long time. So I'm having a ton of fun with that game. And, Overcooked 2 is going to be coming. And like I said, Killer Queen Black I'm looking forward to. They announced a lot of other, obviously smaller indie games that are coming to the platform. Mario Tennis here in a couple of weeks. Captain, the Toad Tracker game that comes out later, I believe in July, is coming. And they said that, we're going to have, another mini direct at some point, obviously, because he said himself in the coming weeks we're going to have more surprises for you guys. So I'm not exactly disappointed. I'm not disappointed like everyone else is in their conference. I just want Animal Crossing to be announced like the rest of you guys. I don't need to be shown Metroid again like a lot of people want Metroid to be shown again. I didn't really need to see it. We saw it last year. We know it's being worked on. It's not coming out this year. If they show us a trailer for 15 seconds, it doesn't change anything at all. Regardless, the game is being worked on, as they said after the conference was over. It's being worked on. They concentrate on games coming from now to early 2019. And that's what they wanted to concentrate on. They obviously are not like all the other companies out there. They have directs and mini directs throughout the year. They have literally 4 or 5 big directs throughout the year, mini directs sprinkled in. No other company really does that. So they have other avenues to get information to keep us excited throughout the year. And I like that approach better than having just all your games shown at E3, where they're sporadically spread out, because it keeps you excited about the console all throughout the year. So that's all I'm going to say about that as far as that conference goes, because that can go on forever. And then the conference that I think hits number 1 here is Xbox. I think they did a really solid job of gaining gaming trust again with getting those 5 studios and opening up their own new studio to work on another exclusive game. And getting Ninja Theories was a really big hit for them, and getting all the other studios was really good for them. And that was just a really solid conference. They announced 50 games. Yes, it's only Halo, Gears, and Forza that are coming so far as like Ori and the Blind Forest is one of their other exclusives. I'm missing another one that obviously Crackdown is coming as well. And am I missing another one? I don't think so. Oh, and the Cuphead DLC that's obviously coming. So they do have some exclusives. Obviously they need more, and I agree, but they addressed that with those 5 companies that they purchased and now are theirs. And opening up that new studio, they're obviously going to be working on something big, hopefully in the likes of as big as Halo and Gears has been. So we can get a new franchise coming out to the Xbox. But all those 50 games that they're showing look really good. And let's not forget that yes, there's a lot of games that are shown on the Xbox that were also, like Cyberpunk, look really good, but that's also going to be on PlayStation. There's no doubt about that. But let's not forget that just because they're going to be on PlayStation, it doesn't matter, because it's still going to run and look best on the Xbox One X. So that's what matters to me. So yes, it's true that most of these games are going to be multi-platform, but at the end of the day, most of them are going to look and play better on the Xbox One X. So PS4 is now turned into kind of like my exclusive machine and stuff like that, where I buy PlayStation exclusives on it, or unless if my friends that are on PS4 ask me to get a game and stuff like that. But everything else gets on my Xbox, because I have an Xbox One X and they look the best on there, so why wouldn't I? On top of the exclusives that they have. Now, that doesn't take away anything from Sony. I can't wait for their exclusives, too. I like all games. I'm not a fanboy of any system. That's obviously very obvious on this channel. But that is the ranking of all the conferences that we had as far as this year. I thought E3 this year was good. It wasn't the best year of E3. There wasn't a lot of surprises. A lot of things got leaked before, so that wasn't as exciting. And there were some letdowns with the Sony conference not being as great as I wanted it to be, with Square Enix's conference being so short, the EA conference not being amazing in any way, shape, or form. So, but overall, we definitely got some good announcement. I'm looking forward to a lot of stuff. There's no doubt about that. There were just not a lot of surprises that we all wanted to see at this year's E3. And some of the conferences were handled a little bit weird. But that doesn't mean there's not a ton of stuff coming that's really interesting and really good games that I'm looking forward to. Because that's never going to change. There's a lot of good stuff coming. And that's it, guys. That runs down the conference and everything that was announced. Well, not everything, but my big highlights for everything that was announced and my thoughts about everything. And that's about it, guys. If you guys have any questions about anything you guys saw, of course, leave them down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.
Tech, UrGamingTechie is the gaming tech. UrGamingTechie, gaming tech. Eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a recce is the gaming tech. UrGamingTechie is the gaming tech. Gaming Techie.